Greetings family, welcome back to my channel. In this particular video I want to discuss the Russian revelation of its newest slate of weapons, and I also want to discuss the arms race and how the arms race is creating an existential threat for all of humanity. Family, the term arms race refers to a competitive struggle between two or more parties, usually nations or groups, to accumulate superior military power, often through the development and stockpiling of weapons or advanced military technology. This competition is typically driven by the desire to maintain or achieve strategic dominance, deter adversaries, or respond to perceived threats. And if you can remember, historically, the invention of the Gatling gun was a innovation that caused there to be a greater casualty on the battlefield, and it also caused there to be an imbalance of power between these competing factions based on the fact that the Gatling gun can fire multiple rounds, whereas their enemies could only fire one shot at a time. Okay, now the key features of an arms race. That's where we get into my point. The key features of the arms race are mutual escalation, which means each side continuously builds up its military capabilities in response to the other's efforts. There's technological innovation, as in the case of Russia and its newest weapons, in which advances in technology often play a critical role as each side strives to outpace the other with more advanced weapons, tools, and systems. And there's also a strategic rivalry and economic costs. Now, some historical examples of the arms race, as I mentioned, the Gatling gun, but we also had the Cold War, and this particular arms race of the 20th century occurred when the United States and the Soviet Union competed to build larger nuclear arsenals and develop advanced delivery systems. The rivalry also extended into other domains such as the space race, which had military implications. And recently, I think China and Russia have demonstrated the ability to launch nuclear warheads from space. Alright, now there was also the naval arms race between Germany and Britain. This was pre-World War I. Germany and Britain engaged in a naval arms race, particularly in building battleships like the dreadnoughts. Okay, family. Now, the consequences of the arms race. There's an increased risk of conflict. There's an economic strain. There are security dilemmas. And just a general state of unrest because of the threat of persons using these advanced weapons. And so, family, I mentioned the arms race because while everybody is preoccupied with pop culture, what is happening in Chicago, what is happening in New York, what is happening in the realm of film and music, there's an existential threat that is brewing between first world nations. Okay, Vladimir Putin recently unveiled some new bombs, some new missiles, and these Oreshnik missiles travel at almost like lightning speed. If you look at the CCTV footage, you will see these flashes of light accompanied by explosions on the ground. Okay, this is not a case of a missile that you can see and watch actually enter a territory and land. This is something that is fast, and as he said, it is impossible to actually intercept them. Alright? And recently another person asked him about the missile, and he gave some further details that were very chilling, if I may say so myself. He said that the explosive elements of these Oreshnik missiles can reach 4,000 degrees of heat. And he compared it to the sun's surface. I think he said it was 5,000 degrees. So basically, these bombs explode almost with the heat of the sun's surface and will actually atomize or render everything to a state of dust. All right, and so all of this, in my opinion, was avoidable. Right, and we can't only, as I've said, we can't really blame Russia exclusively because strategic alliances will necessitate protecting your investment or defending your territory. You know, if Russia sees these other countries forming alliances, they will feel backed into a corner and will have to respond in kind by forming alliances like the BRICS economic partnership with other countries, attempting to basically break the status quo of dependence on the US dollar. And so, also in terms of military might, the gap between technology has long been dissipated, and now Russia appears to even be beyond America's technological prowess in terms of these new lightning fast bombs. You know, but in my opinion, countries need to basically agitate against the use of nuclear weapons because if each of these countries was to fire on each other, that would be catastrophic for humanity. Right? And so you can't think that it wouldn't impact you. Okay, I live on an island, so I know if there was a huge explosion in America, some tsunami is going to be coming in my vicinity, if not directly at me, somewhere close to me, you know. And other countries that are close by would definitely be impacted by nuclear fallout. I recently saw something released from Russian state media, and they have basically implemented an automatic response system that would defend them in the event that a country fired a nuclear weapon at them. Right, and it was so ominous for me because I just saw a movie that was made in the 1980s that was like a post-apocalyptic film, but they actually had an automatic response system, and persons had become infected with a virus, and so the virus made them delirious. And one particular person that was in charge of the nuclear launch isolated himself in a room and launched all of the missiles at Russia. Right? This triggered Russia's automatic response system because when the bomb landed, it would have initiated some sensor. But actually, in this movie, there was an earthquake, and the earthquake was of such a magnitude that Russia's automatic response system was triggered. And so I thought about that when I saw them mention the automatic response system because earthquakes have been happening frequently. Hopefully, this doesn't happen, but if there was an earthquake and Russia had initiated their automatic response system, this would trigger the firing of their nuclear weapons. And so, family, in other words, all of these scenarios are possible when persons are engaging in this type of nuclear saber rattling. And so, cooler heads must prevail. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below about all these dynamics. One love.